Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel Real Spill. We are starting a new story. Every morning, I felt nauseous. Doctors couldn't find anything. One day, in the subway, a jeweler touched me. Take off the pendant. I can see what's inside. I pulled my hand away sharply. My husband gave it to me. The man said quietly, "Open it," in front of me. If these stories mean something to you, please subscribe. Your subscription means more to me than you can imagine. It's motivation. It's the reason I keep telling these stories. And write in the comments where you're watching from. Now let's begin. Rena Miller, a young woman from Chicago, whose perfect life began to fall apart because of a gift. A beautiful pendant. For 5 years, Rena believed she was living in a fairy tale. She and her husband, Arthur Cole, were the embodiment of modern success. They had a stylish apartment in the very center of Chicago, with large windows overlooking the busy city streets. Arthur was a promising senior analyst in a major investment bank, a man who wore tailored suits and spoke with calm confidence. Rena, a talented graphic designer, worked from her bright and spacious home studio, taking projects from clients all over the country. They talked about starting a family, planning to take that step as soon as Arthur received his next big promotion. Life was like a perfectly orchestrated symphony that they were writing together. But 6 months ago, the music stopped. Scordant, tearing notes sounded, and everything began with what seemed like the most caring gesture. It was their 5th wedding anniversary. Arthur came home that evening not with his usual tired look, but with a wide, sincere smile and a small box wrapped in shimmering golden paper. Rena had spent the day preparing his favorite meal. The table was beautifully set, candles flickered, and soft piano music filled the room. Everything was ready for a perfect evening. "Happy anniversary, my love," Arthur whispered, placing the box into her hands. Inside, on a bed of black velvet, lay a pendant. It was undeniably beautiful. A thin silver chain held a heart-shaped charm. But it wasn't a small, delicate one. It was larger, about the size of a coin, covered with intricate floral engravings. A true piece of art. "Arthur, it's amazing," Rena whispered. "Let me help," he said, taking the pendant. He stood behind her, fastening it on her neck. She felt the cool touch of his fingers, and a slight shiver ran down her spine. "It looks perfect on you," he whispered. "Promise me you'll never take it off." The request was a little unusual, but it sounded so sentimental that she didn't hesitate. "I promise." She touched the cool silver heart resting near her throat. She couldn't know that this promise would become a noose tightening around her neck. The first weeks were wonderful. The pendant was comfortable, beautiful, a constant reminder of love. Her friends admired it, and Arthur seemed happier than he had been in years. Then the illness began. At first, it was barely noticeable, a slight nausea in the mornings. She thought it was something she ate, or maybe stress. Arthur even suggested she might be pregnant. The idea excited them, but the test was negative. The nausea didn't go away. It grew stronger. Every morning became a struggle. She lost her appetite. She started losing weight. Arthur insisted she see a doctor. Tests were done. Blood, scans, examinations. Everything was normal. "I can't find anything wrong," the doctor said. But it continued. Headaches appeared. Constant fatigue. Her skin turned pale, grayish. Dark circles formed under her eyes. Her nails became brittle. Her hair started falling out. Arthur supported her. He took her to specialists, paid for tests. On the surface, he was the perfect husband. But there were small cracks. Once, when water splashed on the pendant, he reacted sharply. "Be careful with that." Another time, her mother suggested removing all jewelry. Arthur immediately refused. "That's ridiculous. This pendant is special." Months passed. Rena lost almost 10 kilograms. Her sister Alice called her. "You look like a ghost." "What's happening?" Rena didn't know. Inside was a glass capsule, filled with liquid. "That shouldn't be there," he said. "This is a slow-release poison. My husband tried to kill me." "Go to the police," he said. No. The train slowed down as it approached the next station. The man stood up. "This is my stop," he said. "But please, listen to me. Go straight to the police. Do not go home. Do not call your husband. Just go directly to the police." He took a business card out of his wallet and handed it to her. "My name is Edward Grant. I have a small jewelry workshop on Maple Street. If the police need my testimony, I will give a statement. I also have contacts in a laboratory that can analyze this substance." "Thank you," Rena whispered. "Thank you for saving my life." "Take care of yourself," Edward said and stepped out of the train. Rena sat there, holding the pendant in her trembling hands while the subway continued moving. Inside her mind, a storm of emotions was raging: disbelief, anger, and a crushing grief. Part of her still couldn't accept it. Arthur, her Arthur, the man she loved, had been poisoning her. But the evidence was cold and heavy in her palm. She took out her phone. 3 messages from Arthur. "How did your appointment go? Are you heading home? I have a late meeting. Love. The last message made her feel physically sick. Love you. How could he write those words while she was wearing his poison on her skin? She didn't reply. Instead, she searched for the nearest police station. There was one near the next stop on River Street. She got off the train. Her legs barely held her as she walked 2 blocks to the station. IT was building. She walked inside and approached the desk officer. "I need to speak to someone," she said. The officer looked at her pale, tear-filled face and immediately called a detective. Detective Sarah Mitchell arrived within minutes. She was a sharp-eyed woman in her 40s, with dark hair pulled into a tight ponytail and an expression of calm professionalism. Rena told her everything. Symptoms, doctors, and the man in the subway. She opened the pendant and showed the capsule. Detective Mitchell examined it wearing gloves. "This needs to be analyzed immediately," she said. "I also need you to go to a forensic medical examiner right now so we can document your condition and take blood and hair samples. If you are being poisoned, we need medical evidence." "You believe me?" Rena asked. "I have seen cases like this before," the detective said. "More often than you think. The symptoms you describe are consistent with heavy metal poisoning. We will get to the truth." Rena was taken to the hospital where samples were collected. The pendant was sent to a forensic laboratory. Detective Mitchell advised her not to return home. "Do you have somewhere safe to stay? Family or friends?" "My sister, Alice," Rena said. "Good. Go to her. Do not tell your husband where you are. If he asks, we will say you are in the hospital for additional tests. Meanwhile, we will look into his finances and background. If this is about money, there will be a trail." The phone call to Alice was devastating. When Rena told her what had happened, there was a long silence on the other end. "I'm coming," Alice finally said. Her voice was shaking. "Don't move." Alice arrived 20 minutes later. She hugged Rena so tightly she could barely breathe. "That monster," Alice whispered. "We all trusted him." The laboratory results came back after 36 hours. The liquid inside the capsule was thallium, a tasteless, odorless, extremely toxic, heavy metal salt that had historically been used as rat poison. The analysis of Rena's hair showed elevated levels of thallium, consistent with exposure over the past 6 months. The toxicologist explained that in another 2 or 3 months, the accumulation would have been fatal. Her death would have appeared as organ failure of unknown cause. Detective Mitchell's team did not waste time. They discovered that Arthur Cole was deeply in debt. He owed large sums of money to multiple creditors, including some with questionable reputations. They also found that 8 months earlier, shortly after Rena inherited a valuable piece of land, he had tried to take a loan using it as collateral, but failed because the property was registered only in her name. 7 months ago, he forged Rena's signature to increase her life insurance policy, making himself the sole beneficiary. Rena listened to all of this in silence. A cold emptiness spread through her. The man she had built her life with was a stranger wearing a mask. "It was all a lie," she said quietly. Detective Mitchell went to arrest Arthur that same evening. He was taken into custody at their apartment. He shouted that it was all a mistake, that his wife was mentally unstable and confused. Neighbors gathered outside, watching. Faced with the evidence, his lawyer quickly realized the case was undeniable. A deal was made. Arthur Cole pleaded guilty to attempted murder in exchange for a reduced sentence. 15 years in a high-security prison. But the story did not end there. The trial became a major case covered by the media. Rena had to sit in the courtroom and listen to the horrifying details of how her own death had been planned. The hardest moment came when she had to testify and look at him. For a brief second, she saw the man she thought she married. The man who had laughed with her, held her, promised her a future. Then the mask disappeared, and all she saw were empty eyes. She spoke clearly. Her voice was steady. She told the story from the anniversary dinner to the stranger in the subway. Edward Grant also testified. His calm professionalism gave strong weight to the evidence. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. The verdict was guilty, but the final twist came a month later. Rena was slowly rebuilding her life in a small apartment near Alice when she received a letter. It was not from Arthur. It was from a lawyer. The letter explained that Edward Grant had passed away peacefully in his sleep. In his will, he left a small sealed box to the young woman from the subway. With trembling hands, Rena opened it. Inside, on a velvet cushion, was a new pendant. There was also a note written in neat, careful handwriting. Dear Rena, if you are reading this, it means I am no longer here. I wanted you to have this. It is a simple piece. No hidden compartments. Pies. Just a symbol of life, hope, and the small, beautiful accidents that save us. You taught me in my final years that it is never too late to do something important. Wear it in good health and remember, for every dark heart, there is a stranger willing to help. With deepest respect. Edward Grant. Rena sat in her quiet apartment. In one hand, the letter. In the other, the delicate silver pendant. A stranger in the subway had saved her life. And even after his death, he had given her one last gift. She fastened the new chain around her neck. The silver felt light against her skin. It felt like freedom. It felt like hope. It finally felt like a real gift.